world, Johnny Moe here. I'm coming to you again with part 2 of the branch theology, how to grow your business and have it sustain and last. I believe that everyone is going to find value in these videos. Even if you're solo and you really don't know what to do, you're looking at this 20 years experience. It'll be 2016 next year. Also, another thing is, we're a solid six-figure company. We're a solid six-figure company. We were bigger in the last 3 years. Some things happened, and I had to, make adjustments. And that's another thing. When you're in business for so long, adjustments are going to need to be made. And we had to fire a foreman. We had to drop from 2 crews down to 1. So we had to shrink the business down a little bit so that we can make another go at it in the future. And so those things happen. I've shrunk down a couple times over the past 20 years to redo things. Because what happens is you get too far out on the branch. Remember in video 1, my famous pen, the further out in the branch you get in business, the weaker the branch. If you travel out too far, it starts to bend and it could snap because of the pressure of the business that you're holding. So what I wanted to do is, because we're on YouTube, there's a lot of people that say, I don't believe that you're a six-figure business. I don't believe that you were this, you were that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an official state tax return. I'm not going to show you all my numbers because it has my EN number, it has my sales and use tax number on it. But this is a filed tax return of an average month this year. This was filed in August. And August is a very average month for us because we do not do a lot of extras in August. Our biggest month is generally May and June. So I'm going to show you an average month of what you could make. Now this is average. I could pull out the bigger ones, but those don't happen all the time. I could show you one where we filed one for 30 grand for the month. But I want to be realistic with you. I want to show you what we make. I want to be honest with you. And, some people look at this like, oh, that's nothing. That's cool. But there are a lot of people that are nowhere even near our average month. And I just want to prove to you that this isn't a lie. I'm not telling you a bunch of lies. This is an official Pennsylvania business sales tax form that I have to file every month for sales tax. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it real well. I'll read you the numbers. I'm going to show you that right here is the name. Right here's the date that I filed it. And right here is what we made for that month, which is $19,417. So that's official. This is an official tax document. I have to turn this in to the federal government at the end of the year. So there's no getting around it. And I'm being real with you. I'm not taking my biggest month and saying, this is what we make. We're this awesome company. No, I'm telling you, this is an average month for us. And, between $18,000 and $27,000 is generally what we're going to turn. And, the winter months are slower. Some months are really big because snow removal can get really up there. So if you want to add those months in, which I'm not going to show you any of those, the only reason why is because, again, those are far and few between. Like last January, we had a monster month last January. And then, come February, it was decent. We didn't do too much in March. So you can make literally a solid six-figure business between $160,000 to $250,000 for sure doing this business. If you'll just follow some of the things that I did, I was very patient, guys, in building a business. Sometimes I put the cart before the horse. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that happened because I did that and how the branch got real weighty and almost lost a lot. But, I just want to be honest and open with you and just share the things that we do that'll help add value to you and help build your business to a point where, you're happy with it. And guys, this is the key. This is the first video, basically, after the branch theology. Our branch theology is this. We try to stay as close to the tree, because that's the most support, until the branch grows, and then you can branch out a little bit. In these next 4 to 5 videos, I'm going to teach you exactly how we did it, what works best, what doesn't work, because we've done it. We've snapped a few branches over the years, so I'm going to teach you what mistakes we made. Number 1, right up front, what do you want? Where do you want to be? You cannot go anywhere in business until you decide what you want. What income do you want? Do you want to be a $50,000 business, a $100,000 business, or a $20,000 business? Until you identify exactly what you want, you're no use to anybody. Okay? So let's say you have, I got a question last night. It was a great question. Had some time to think about it. A person's running about, say, 40 accounts. By himself, that person can do it for 5 days. With a helper, he can do it in 3 if he humps. What do you do? How do you do? The answer to that question is, how much do you want to make? How much stress do you want? What do you want to do? If you want to go to, and I'm going to tell you, because I've been solo so long, in 10 years I was solo. That means I did all the work. It was all on me. I know this business so well that I know how much you can make. You can make, at most, 60 grand. Now, there are those people out there who are supermen, and they can make $200,000 all by themselves, cut 200 lawns, and, they're the best. No one knows anything. But in the real world, coming back, you can handle, as a solo guy with the right equipment, between 40 and 45 lawns. It gets a little uncomfortable after 45 lawns. If it rains that week, you're in trouble. You're working on the weekends, 6-7 days a week. You're really humping these lawns out. And, I don't care if you got them piled on top of each other. If you do, you have a better shot of making a little bit more money. If you can pull up to a street and do 10 lawns on that street, move over to the next one and do another 6. A little harder to do when you're first starting out, or even your first 5 years, really. Unless you're buying a business out. If you're buying an established business out, you can do it that way. But where do you want to be? So that's the question I'm going to ask you, is where do you want to be? How much money do you want to make? And until you establish how much money, if you're that type, I'll grow with the business, whatever the business will provide. I don't suggest that, guys. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I think that's a bad way to do it. I think you need to set goals and be very purposeful, because if you do it that way, you'll be so far out in the branch, you'll bust the branch. You'll be out of business in no time, because you'll make bad purchases because you don't know how much you want to grow. You don't know how much you want to do. And then all of a sudden, you get 20 new clients in 1 year, and you're thinking, oh, heck yeah, I can do that. But when you were sitting at 35, and now you've got 20 more at 55, and I'll just buy new equipment. So you go out there, and I've got it, and then all of a sudden you buy the new equipment, and then find out that you're not as productive as you thought you were going to be. Now you've lost a few people, and people are upset. Your name gets a little jacked up in the community, and like, oh man, then you're working out of the hole already. You're already at the end of the branch. And let me tell you something, when you bust a branch, it's hard to recoup from that. It's hard to recoup, in your mind, and it's hard to recoup, your spot in the community. So if you build it slower, knowing what you want, you can do it incrementally. Like, what would I do if I was a solo guy? Because I've been solo. So let's say I have 40 accounts. I'm making probably 40 accounts at, let's say, $35 an account. Let's say you're making about $1,500 a week. You're making about $6 grand a month. Times that by 8, really 7, but times that by 8, you're about $48,000. And, so what do I do? First thing you want to do is make sure that your equipment is the most efficient that it is. If you're not using commercial equipment at this point, get commercial equipment. I'm going to tell everyone, get commercial equipment. Quit using the non-commercial stuff. You won't be productive. They're not as fast. They're not as durable. And the engines aren't as good. You'll start bending pieces on the deck. You'll spend a lot of time fixing fixing spindles and just different things on them. I suggest if you're cutting anywhere, if you're cutting over 100 hours a year on a mower, 125, I suggest scrap it, go right to commercial. Those mowers were not made to handle the abuse of someone cutting 300 hours in a year or 150 hours a year. You'll start seeing little issues with them. So the very first thing you're going to do is to bring the employee on is make sure you're as efficient as possible. You have the absolute best equipment to make your 40 lawns be efficient, and you know how to be efficient. So number one, you want to know where do you want to be income-wise. If you are solo, you're going to max out at 60 grand, hands down. I mean, you're humping. You're working 5-6 days a week. You're out there pushing, and you've got commercial equipment. Now's the time. If you want to make $100,000 a year, that should be your next goal. Then boom, that's the time to hire the first guy. So know what you want to make. Your first couple years, you want to first 1 to 4 years, you're solo guy, you're up there. What you want to do is you want to maximize your efficiency, get that first or second piece of equipment to make sure that you've got what you need. You need a truck, you need a trailer, and you're going to need some hedge trimmers. You're going to need some different things. Write all that stuff down as goals. What does being a solo person look like? What does a successful solo person look like? I'm going to tell you in the equipment buying part what kind of equipment you do. What's the mistakes that we made when we purchased equipment? And that'll probably be the next video. So video number 2, branch theology, how to grow your business, grow it slowly. Become a master at being solo. Become a master at it. Know all the ins and outs, the tricks of the trade, turning right, never turning left, lining them up, making sure that Monday through Thursday, the days that you cut, that you were like maxed out on those days before you bring an employee on. Make sure you have the equipment that you need to be efficient. After that, you're ready to hire. You're ready to hire your first guy. Now, what's going to happen is when you hire that first guy, you're going to bring your 5-day mowing crew down. Either you can do it 2 ways. You can go out every day and finish up at 1:30, 2 o'clock after he's been trained. And this is the part, when they're trained, it gets tough because sometimes you lose a lot. And look at my videos on employees. That'll help you out hire and identify who you need to hire that's going to be best suitable for your business. So now you're ready to bring them on. Now you bring them on, they're training them, you're getting done a little earlier. What's going to happen? What you need to do now is you need to fill that last 3 hours with more work until all of a sudden that employee and you are humping 5 days a week, 40 hours. Now that's how you afford the employee, because what's going to happen is you're going to take a hit when you first hire them because you're doing the same amount of work that you did as a solo guy, but now you've brought him on. So once he's used to that route, you take the hit. You just take the hit. Make sure, like I said, when you first start out, it's very profitable for you. Make sure that you get all the ins and outs. Your overhead is zilch. And I'm going to teach you again in the finance section on how we run our business. We don't run a debt-free business, but I'll teach you what we do, how we approach debt considering this business. So that's my first video, guys. I'm going to end it there. The very first thing you need to do is to establish how much do you want to make, and then you need to become very efficient. You need to have incremental goals. Do not grow with your business. Don't let the business dictate your growth. You dictate the growth. You're the business owner. Don't sit there. Well, if the phone rings, then I'm going to grow. You'll make very bad and poor decisions. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. And go after it this year, man.